What's up, guys? Matty here. Native Instruments is known for its keyboards and like Contact and Massive and all those sort of synth plugins. But what I don't hear a lot of talk about is their effects plugins. They have quite a lot. So today I wanted to show you 5 Native Instruments effects plugins that you can use for mixing and sound creation and stuff like that you might not have checked out before. Before we do get in the video, if you're interested in my mixing and mastering services or my presets or courses, make sure to check me out at mixandmastermysong.com. Let's go. All right, guys, the first plugin we're going to go over is Guitar Rig 7. It is the latest version of Guitar Rig. This plugin's been around for a while, and they always keep changing the versions. That's the one thing I don't like, because if you open a session with an older version, then you don't have it, one of those things, whatever. But it has massive amounts of sounds in it. And of course you use it on guitars and basses, and it works well for that. But there are so many like effects, reverbs, stomp box type sounds in it that you can use it on a host of things, not just guitars. Let's jump into it. I have this guitar sound right here. It's already got some reverb on it. Sounds nice, good little sounding guitar. But sometimes what I'll do, if it's more like a dry guitar and I'm working on a mix and the guitar just isn't cutting through, I'll just run through this thing and see if there's anything that will make that guitar stick out. And you can do it in a variety of different ways. You can go through genres, artists, amplifiers, character effects types. Here we'll do genres and do like funk and soul. And let's just run through some of the different presets just to see what kind of sounds it can give us. So like right there, that one sounds really cool. It changes the whole vibe of the song. Like let's bypass on and off really quick. And then what you can do is, once you get that, let's say like we don't want that filter, that LFO thing happening, you can just turn them off here and kind of rebuild the sound as you want. Maybe we'll take the phaser off too and see what that sounds like. So you can just play with it like that. Now, a whole other way to use this is just by starting fresh. So let's get back to the way it is default. And now, instead of starting with presets, let's go to components. And this gives you all the different amp boxes and effects that you can use. So yeah, you could build amplifiers and cabinets and all that. But what I like to do sometimes is put this on a synth or a guitar or whatever, and then play with the different like plugins basically built into this, and you can build all kinds of different sounds like that. And also it's sometimes a fun way just to, like, if you don't know what you want on an instrument, or like you're trying to make it stand out or do something a little different, you can just build things with this, and it's a really quick way to try different sounds. So here we just grab this tape echo. And you can just, you know, really quickly play with different things. A lot of times what's cool is some of these special effects. There's beat slicer, which for mixing is a little difficult to use, but I think if you're making beats or doing whatever, this could be really cool. One thing I would probably do if I was making a track with this is I would take that and record the beat slicer just doing things, and then chop that up too. And then there's reverbs, there's pitch things. What's one of the ones I like? Modulation. You have all the different modulation things. This freak thing's crazy. So as you can see, there's just tons and tons of sounds you can get out of Guitar Rig 7, and that's why I like it. Always put it on guitars and basses. If I need something to sound different, or, you know, a lot of times I will take the original guitar and then duplicate the file and put this on it with something. So a lot of creative things you can do that way. And then, of course, like I just said, using all the different effects in there is a really great way to get creative fast. All right, the next plugin is Supercharger GT. This is an older plugin. It's been around for a while. My friend Anthony actually turned me on to it. Shout out to Anthony. And we would put it on drums on mixes sometimes. And that's what I think works well for. Putting it on drums in parallel can give it some energy if the drums are just sounding kind of lackluster. One of the presets I like is called Ghetto Drums. I don't name the presets. But let's turn this on and off. This thing's so old that it's not quite working well in Studio One. Like I can't bypass it, so I'm gonna have to turn it on and off that way. But here's this drums without it, and then we'll turn it on. You can hear what it's doing. So it completely changes the drum sound, super compressed, got some saturation going on. Sounds cool, but there's no way you would actually use it. Well, you could use that if you're making the song, but you might not use that in a mix if you're mixing a song. So what I would do is you turn it on and then just dial this mix back all the way to dry and then slowly blend it in, and you'll hear how it brings some excitement to the song or to the drums. You can hear just how much more lively those drums sound just with that little bit of mix on. So really cool for using that. And then if you want to change the sounds, you can do that a bit more. If you want the saturation a little less, like this preset comes in hot saturation. You can dial it back a bit to moderate. You can also change the character. So right now it's warm. You can make it brighter or fatter, which is darker. Stereo link is always nice to have. And then over here too, if you find that the kick is triggering it too much, it does have a sidechain for 100 hertz and 300 hertz. So say, we like this sound, but it was triggering the kick too much. You could turn this to 100 hertz. And now it's not getting triggered by the kick so much anymore. So really cool plugin. If you need something to make your drum sound a little more exciting, this can be a quick way just to turn it on, blend in just a little bit of the mix, and it will give you a vibe that you might be looking for. The next plugin is a reverb plugin called Realm. I didn't even know about this plugin for a long time, I'll be completely honest. And I got a session from somebody with it on there, and I was like, damn, this thing sounds amazing. And it works really well, and this doesn't happen often, but it works really well on synths and like keyboards. Also works well for vocals. It can be a bit much, but it's good for like effects and like really cool, lush, wild open reverbs and stuff for vocals. But check it out on this guitar and just see how alive it comes when you turn it on. So just turning those 3 different presets, it changed the guitar tone so much, and in a good way. Like some reverbs you put on a guitar or a synth and it's just like, it just sounds like reverb. But this thing has a lot built into it with modulation and reverb that it creates some cool sounds. And one thing I love that I wish every single reverb would have is the pre-delay can be timed. So we can turn this and really get some different sounds out of it. So you can hear by changing the different presets it has, there's like 3 different kind of reverb settings. You can hit freeze to freeze the reverb, which I like doing sometimes. And then just by using that pre-delay, it works really well to create some separation between the guitar and the reverb. And this is great for vocals too. I don't have a vocal track here, but a lot of times I'll use a a pre-delay that's timed at like a 32nd or 64th note, and it will give the reverb a little bit of time. So the vocal still sounds dry and in your face, but then the reverb comes after it. So that's a good thing to try on this for vocals as well. All right, the fourth plugin I'll show you guys is called Byte. Now, if you've been a Pro Tools user before and switched to a different DAW, there might be a plugin that you really missed. It was called Lo-Fi, or it is called Lo-Fi, and it's really great for adding, just a little bit of saturation to vocals or drums or whatnot, and that is one I really missed. Now, Byte was one that I found was really close to what Lo-Fi could do and give you some of the same features and same sounds. And so when I moved to Studio One, I used this a lot to get that sound. Why is it? Well, what you can do is you can change the sample rate sound, the bit sound, and that can give you a more lo-fi sound, such as like, MPCs, the Kai MPC drum machines back in the day were, I think, at 12-bit, and that was part of the sound of those drum machines. And so if you have drums, for instance, you can put it at 12-bit and it will give you a little more of a lo-fi sound. Also, you can change the jitter, has saturation, crunch to add a little more like grit to it. So I'm going to play this drum beat and just change some of the settings so you guys can hear what it can do. Or what we could do too is run through some presets after that. See how just doing that just makes the drum sound more authentic, like it was from a drum machine from the late 90s. No, or late 80s, early 90s. And then the other cool thing is you have a mix knob here. So once we get that sound, we can mix in some of the more modern-ish drum sound to kind of have a nice blend. And that can help. One thing I will say, and you can kind of hear it, is it can get a little phasey with a mix knob on this, so do be careful of that. Let's run through some presets, because I found another cool way of using this is just to run through the presets and hear some of the sounds you can get. This might be really good if you're producing a track and you want the drums to sound different, give you some cool creative ideas, and then you can dial it back. So as you can hear, tons of different sounds you can get with Byte. And as I said, it's a really good alternative to lo-fi if you've been a Pro Tools user moving to a new DAW. All right, the last plugin on the list is probably the one I use the most from these plugins. And it is one of, if not the most underrated delay plugins out there. It is Replica XT. They have a regular replica that has not as many features, but you can do so much with this delay. It gives you so many different sounds, and it is just a fantastic delay. Let me show you around it really quick, and then we'll take a listen to it. So over here, you have your different kinds of delays. So you have modern, which is like a modern digital delay, but then you can click it, and you have analog, tape, vintage digital, and diffusion, which is like a reverby sound. And you can go stereo or mono with it, which is another feature not all delays will have. Sometimes if you just want a mono delay, it's really easy to create with this. Of course, low cut and high cuts, like anything, you can do a dual delay or a single, and you see it switches here. So if you want a quarter note on one side, eighth note on the other side, it's really easy to do like that. And like just those feature sets there alone are pretty cool to have all those. But you also have this section on the right called effects. And you can add a flanger or a phaser or a chorus or all these other pitch shifters, a micro pitcher, which is really cool to use sometimes on here for vocals. You can add all those as well. Below you have standard or ping pong, so you can do ping pong left and right, or you could do it with a dual, up to you and how you want to do that. And then you just click here to go to the different kinds. If you want dotted or triplets, or if you want to just do it by milliseconds, really easy to get around, and I like that part too. We'll start with straight right there. Below that, you have some other options too. So if you want to change up the pattern, we'll listen to this in a second. You can do that here. You can pan the delay in different ways. You want the dry signal on the left and the wet on the right. You could do that if you wanted to. And another huge feature that's great for vocals is ducking. It has ducking built into it. And then this is just some delay mods and ping pong left and right options. So tons of different ways to get sounds out of this thing. So let's start with this drum loop and we'll just mix it in and start playing with it. As you can see, in the short amount of time, we were able to change the sound in a bunch of different ways. And that is why I love this delay so much, is because you can manipulate it and change it and get to where, you know, the end result you're looking for so quickly, just with a few buttons. And just so many different sounds with the effects that are built in. It's a really, really versatile delay that I think is slept on so much. All right, guys, so those are the top 5 Native Instruments effects plugins that you might not know about or you might not be using. Let me know which one is your favorite in the comments below, or if there's one that I didn't mention on here that you think is better than all 5 of these, let me know there too. And once again, if you need your songs mixed and mastered, hit me up at mixandmastermysong.com. Talk to you guys soon.